Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Now a few days ago I uploaded a video telling you guys the story of how I bought my first car. I gave you a little tour around inside and out of the car and you guys really liked it. It's done the best of all my videos on my channel. So I thought that today I'd do another video talking about cars and first cars and basically just give you guys tips, important things to keep in mind when you're buying your first car. Now some of these things are going to be quite obvious and things, so if you have a very good knowledge of cars or you've been in and around cars all your life, then you're going to know most of these. But these are just for those beginners that don't really know what they're looking for, but want to get a good deal and a good bargain. So stick around. These are the main things you want to keep in mind when buying your first car. Okay, so number one, MOT. Quite a lot of people forget about this because usually it doesn't say it. Most of the time it'll say it in the description of the car. If you're buying it online on Auto Trader or Gumtree or whatever, it'll say next MOT is due here. But it's actually very important because if you buy a car and the MOT is due in a few months, then there's a risk that it's not only we have to obviously pay to have the MOT and it's very soon, but also there's always a risk that it has a problem. If it's got a brand new fresh MOT and it's got like a year left on its MOT, then you know that it's just been done and nothing's wrong with the car, it's legal to drive and everything is fine, so you're getting a good deal. So you just want to make sure you look in that description, you see when the MOT is due. You want at least over 6 months really, and if it doesn't say it in the description, phone them up and ask. And yeah, it's quite an important thing to make sure you remember, and it will help you out quite a lot. Number two is mileage. Of course, this is quite an obvious one, but it's still an important one. So things to keep in mind when you're buying your first car, of course, over 100,000 miles, it does depend, because you can get cars over 200,000 miles and they're still going strong. So it's not all about the mileage. Sometimes, there's exceptions, but really, as a general rule of thumb, you want to be getting as low a mileage as possible. But yeah, like I said, if the mileage is quite high, but it's been very well maintained, it's got full service history, long MOT, the car looks clean and in good condition, then it's not actually too important. But still, it would be better if you aim as low mileage as you can. And if you really don't know, then mileage just means how many miles the car has driven. So of course, the lower the number, the less it's driven and potentially better kept and newer condition it's in. But like I said, that's not always the case. Number three, distance away from you. Now I know that sounds like a stupid one, but when I'm looking on Auto Trader and things, especially for this car, I would see a good car, I'd get in touch with them, and for some reason, stupid, maybe it's only me, it might only be, but I'd see a good car, I'd get in touch with them and things, and then I'd realise that the car that I've been looking at is 125 miles away from me. It's a really stupid little silly thing, and you're probably not as stupid as me, so that's probably the first thing you'll realise. And I know obviously you can cap it and stuff, and I've done that since, but when I was first starting out and I didn't really know what I was looking for, I forgot to put like a distance allowed in the search, and I just find things that were 200 plus miles away. So yeah, you want to make sure that it's a distance where you can go get it, or a distance that can be delivered to you and won't cross countries. A few other things to keep in mind as well are age. Obviously that's not that important, because again, if it's well kept and got full history and hasn't done many miles, then you can get a car before even 2000s. You can get things in cars in the 90s that are still running strong. But for your first car, it's always good to get as new as possible really. They'll be generally more reliable and better working, and of course full service history as well as MOT history. Just, you want good documents, you want paperwork to suggest that this car's been well looked after. Obviously number of owners could be a factor, little things like that you have to keep an eye on when buying it, because little things like that can make a big difference. And of course, again, this isn't a huge thing, it's more really preference. Some people might not care, but I knew when I was buying my first car, I wanted just the actual exterior of the car to be clean, well kept, as little scratches as possible. I think everyone would want that, but in terms of like the driving, it's not too bad in terms of like, if you find a car that's gonna be really reliable, cheap to run, things like that, then perfect, even if it's got scratches and things on the outside. But generally, obviously, you would want to look out for cars that haven't got that many dents and scratches and things, mainly as well because that then it's been well looked after and the owner's been careful and driven it well. Another thing is engine size, because when you're buying your first car, generally 1.2 below, this is a 1.3, but it's actually really cheap to insure compared to other cars, but 1.2 and below generally for UK first drivers means that the insurance will be as cheap as it can be. Really, if you go up, the insurance just gets to crazy amounts. So when you're looking at your first car, you want to really make sure that it's a 1.2 or below. 1.3 obviously KA is fine as well, but 1.4 and above, yeah, it wouldn't be that suitable for a first car unless you've got some serious cash in your pocket. A few cars I'd recommend, I mean, obviously I've got my KA, but from meeting friends and going out and looking on Auto Trader and things, I'd say the best first cars are a KA, a Corsa, a Clio, a Mazda 2, I think it is. My friend has one. A Clio, unless I've already said that, probably have. A Fiat Punto is a good option. Peugeot 102, I think it is. I'm not actually that good with my car names and things, to be honest. I do love cars, but mainly I was just looking at KAs. I was like, as soon as I knew I wanted a KA, it was all just like looking at KAs non-stop. So yeah, I hope this video helped you in any way. I hope that there's someone out there looking for their first car that doesn't really have a Scooby-Doo of what to do and where to go, watch this video and now has a better understanding of the things they need to look out for. It's just because there's a lot of components to keep an eye out on, and I can imagine someone that isn't that interested in cars, just wants a car to get from A to B, would see a nice car and think, oh, that's nice, and maybe look at mileage and think, oh, it's not too bad, and get it, but then they realise that it's awful on petrol, it's not that reliable, the parts cost an awful ton to repair if anything gets damaged, things like that, and you don't really think, like, some people wouldn't think about that. But I hope this video has showed you that the things just to look out for. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Anyway, I'll be back with another video soon. Thank you for the support and things. I'm going to be really trying to upload regularly. I'm really enjoying uploading at the moment. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.